Half a day and welcome to the Chamber Member Spotlight Podcast, where we feature one of our many small business members, the backbone of our island community. They provide much needed services and products, employ our residents, pay taxes, and give back to our community in a number of ways. We're so glad you joined us. My name is Catherine Castro, your host for the Chamber Member Spotlight Podcast. We are excited to feature our member, UXO Academy of Bombs and Bullets Guam, aka B.N.B, represented today by Mr. Royden Fernandez, who is the owner and CEO. Hafaday and aloha. Welcome to our podcast, Royden.
Aloha, Catherine. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. We were so excited to sit with you and learn a little bit more about your company. It's so interesting.
Yes.
And, I'm not sure exactly, maybe people don't really know what your business is about. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Bombs and Bullets?
Okay. So Bombs and Bullets is a play off of my first company, UXO, Halo Hui. We're the educational piece tied to it. Okay. So primarily UXO Academy Bombs and Bullets, or B.N.B, we certify locals to become bomb technicians here on the island.
Wow.
Yes, there's only a few, I'd say about 4,700 bomb techs in the world as of March 2021. Those numbers, I remember that number. So being out here in Guam and having the war when America took back Guam, there's a lot of remnants left over.
Right.
So on the island, a lot of people don't know that there can be bombs anywhere. So I started the school to educate and advocate the MEC awareness, or munition explosive concerns, here on the island for the local community, and in order to try and develop a new trade for the islands and bring opportunities for locals.
That's fantastic. So when did you open your academy?
I opened it up in May 11th, 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many have you certified?
So right now I am in the process of still talking,
Okay.
negotiating with one of the colleges here.
Okay.
Team up with them, and once that's finalized, it'll be the third school in the whole world that teaches and certifies
No
bomb
kidding.
technicians.
Wow,
Yes.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's another great industry to have here on Guam. As you know, a little known fact, when I was growing up here on Guam, a long time ago, when I was going to school, in elementary school, folks were coming, and I can't remember if they were from the military or local government agencies, if it was agriculture, I'm not sure. But I remember them coming into the school and showing us the little, the bullets or the explosives, because we would find them like playing in the yard, right?
Yes.
And there have been mishaps where people have lost a limb or a finger or something like that because we didn't know what they were and we were playing with them. So there was an outreach in the schools. They were showing us what they looked like, and if don't play with them, call your parent, call a responsible adult, so that the officials can come and take those things away.
Munitions, yes.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that in I'm just having this discussion with you kind of brought back these memories for me.
Right.
But I think it's very interesting, and until now, we are still seeing, as we move dirt right to build facilities and things like that, we are finding these types of what do you call them?
Munitions. UXO, yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. When I came here first to the island, it was back in 2020. And what made me do this, my why, you could say, was one, being my wife is from the island, and my girls, I have all girls, 4 daughters. I made a promise that I won't leave them. So I seen an opportunity to bring the trade to the island versus having mainland companies come and here. And so being a local boy from Hawaii, there's a person, it was in the news, that walked into one of the mayor's office with a Mark Deuce hand grenade.
Oh my goodness.
And I looked at that and I was like, wow, that's so dangerous, you know. And I started calling around and called Homeland Security. Hey, what's the process to do this? And nobody knew. You know, everything was just getting directed to here to just. I was talking to nobody, pretty much. And so that's what gave me the push to try and educate and advocate. You know, the mech awareness here.
Wow.
It's definitely the most dangerous munition is an unexploded ordnance.
Right.
Because it was fired and deployed and did not go off, did not function as designed, it's still live.
Right.
So depending on the fusing system and how it works, it could still hurt you. And that's why, you know, I just want to bring awareness to the people.
So you eventually got your training, and you got your training in Hawaii?
I got the school, yes. There was a school back then in Hawaii. So I graduated in, like I said, 2009. And then it's mainly on-the-job training. You know, you learn, there's so many ordinance in the world, you won't know all of it, right? And then in our requirements, DDSB TP18, it states all of our, you know, requirements and job titles and responsibilities and how you get promoted, time and service.
Sure.
And you have to travel and go to these different bases and ranges to know what to do. Not just time. You know, a lot of people, Guam is unique because it's work constant year round. I'm used to working in the States, you know, because I live in Utah now. Where during the winter, there's no work. So from November to, say, February, March, you know, when the snow falls, all the work is done or put on hold until the next season. So a lot of people, we save up a lot of money, and then during the wintertime, we're living off of our savings, right? And so here in Guam, it's year round, so it's like paradise, and good weather, nice beaches, you know,
Right, yeah.
good people, good food. So
in your experience working here in Guam, right, you expect to see certain types of munitions, right? As you mentioned earlier, especially munitions that were deployed during the last World War.
Yeah.
So in your experience, have you found different types of munitions that were kind of surprising for you?
Not here, no.
Okay.
It's usually the same. So being the location, like you said, so back in World War One, too, you find a lot of projectiles, mortars, you know. Then they got the small arms, grenades, smoke grenades, and because the war was with Japan, right? There's the Japanese types. So it's similar to American types, but different designs, you know. But they all have their similarity, whether it's a grenade, a mortar, or a projectile, you know. So, but there's thousands on the island.
No kidding.
Still. Yeah, I know statistics since I've been there on few jobs. One job I found probably over 120 items, from grenades to
No kidding.
yes, to projectiles.
Can you say what village?
It's on the island.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to say.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
So, what measures do you normally take to ensure the safety of, you know, the techs and individuals, maybe people that are living in the area during the disposal or during the I guess the investigation, right, of the explosives, these munitions?
So, in our industry, everything is like military structured, or you know, our industry is the civilian side of the EOD in the military, and the structure whenever we investigate an area, there's protocols. First of all, you got to do a site investigation or a remedial investigation to classify the site. Secondly, when you come up with your action or your response action, whether it be anomaly avoidance, construction support, or food clearance, there's different methods or techniques that you use. To ensure the public's safety, it's exclusion zones of the munition with the greatest frag distance. So saying like a 500-pound bomb, and that I think the exclusion zone for that is 820 feet, I believe. But we would, when we start investigating, we call it anomalies, until we can positively identify what that anomaly is, that exclusion zone of the greatest frag distance is put up. The facilities or people in the area would evacuate prior to doing this search or investigation,
Right.
to ensure that the safety of the public, people that's not supposed to be in your exclusion zone.
Right.
If you got bystanders that come into our exclusion zone, all work halts and stops. So it's very controlled, I should say.
Right, yeah, and it's all for the safety.
It's all for the
of
safety,
everybody,
yes.
right? And then, so you are starting this academy with one of the colleges here on Guam.
Yes, ma'am.
The training, do you have to have any sort of training before you even are accepted to the academy, or what's the process for that?
Well,
Or just have the desire to?
it's the industry is working out in the elements, and
Sure.
Guam is very hot, and
Right.
so I'm trying to develop something kind of like how Cabras did the boot camp, where you can pre-select people, right? Because you don't want to waste nobody's time, or
Right.
if they don't really want to do this. So,
Of course, yeah.
but besides that, is you have to be able to get on base, pass a background check,
Okay. Sure.
pass a 13-panel drug screening, and make sure your driving record's okay, because all of the work I do is on base. If you can't get on base, there's no sense in trying, because all the work is on base.
Okay.
And that's the minimum, graduate a high school GED.
Yeah. And then how long is the process of the?
So the course is 200 hours.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on how you want to teach it, right? When we went to school, or the MEC schools, they're a month and a half long. So it's a full 5 weeks of doing the UXO training, and then a week of 40-hour HAZWOPER training. So it's cramming, 10 hours a day.
Right.
But if you want to prolong it, or it's a crash course, but like I said, most of it is determined on the individual, how they retain the information, and pretty much on-the-job training. There's too much munitions out there for a person to know it all.
Right.
Right, the way it functions, the nomenclatures, and all of that. So it's really on the job.
So what is your goal? Like, do you, obviously, we want to get more people skilled in this particular industry, and you mentioned too earlier that there are a few other companies such as yours already established here in Guam. So how many, if you start this academy, how many people are you looking at certifying?
It all depends on the project, right? And that's why we're still in discussion. It's the contracts that get its award, the timeline, the critical path of that contract. If things have to be built up and there's mass areas, you want to push out more students. But I don't want to flood the industry or certify a lot of people. Definitely, maybe start off with 1-2 class a year and just see how that goes.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's advanced technology as well. I'm trying to bring to the island and introduce. It's like carpentry in a tool bag, the right tool for the right job. So you have all these different technologies that I can use and utilize. Just got to know on the area, from underwater to
Sure,
on the
of
land.
course,
So
yeah. So that was my next question:
Yeah.
is do you also do stuff in the water?
I have capabilities to do that. Yes,
Okay.
I could do the underwater stuff and advanced geophysics stuff on land. So
That's really cool.
yes.
So how do you dispose of these devices?
So it's funny you ask that question. It's in our job, the fun part is blowing this up, right? But here in Guam, you turn it over to the military EOD.
No kidding.
Yes.
So you don't do it. Your company doesn't do it.
No
or a
company
company,
does.
no company does it.
Yeah, and as a business
How
owner,
interesting.
it's good because of the liability of the risk.
Sure.
You know, it's
Okay.
less on the company, but
Yeah.
as a technician and doing the work, it takes the fun out of everything, right? Everybody wants to blow stuff up, but you know, here unfortunately we can't. But definitely would like to try and change that to keep everybody up to standards in their training, because part of the requirements to become, you know, advanced is, you know, setting up electric, non-electric firing trains and stuff like that. And where Guam, you cannot do that, so there's not a, you know, you're not really trained up in that area. So
So how do you, like, I'm sure there's technological advances, right, in your particular industry, right? How, I mean, is it at lightning speed, or like, and how do you keep up with that?
for doing demolition or doing advanced searching, or
Yeah. So you're mainly doing advanced search, right?
right now we're going back to not necessarily. It's again in the contract language and stuff.
Okay.
It's more or less we're going back to the old school way, I say, in magging and digging out here, or magging and flagging. So it's Sean stats, or you know, all-purpose metal detectors, where an individual goes out and we sweep this area, or you know, we set up grid lanes and that's just to make sure we cover 100% of the area, and we swing a Sean stat, like I said, or a magnetometer, traversing back and forth, you know, every inch of the area to clear the target of interest, which is as small as a 20 millimeter. So that's a failure criteria. So I always explain to people, it's like when we set up our lanes or our grids, it's like coloring a book. Stay in between the line, you know, and color everything. And so, you know, our depending on the type of tool or instrument we use, you know, the search head is only so small, like a quarter size up to,
Wow.
you know, a basketball
Yeah,
size
for sure.
diameter. So that's the coverage that you get. With advanced technology, you get, you know, 4 or 5 feet coverage at a time,
And then, like, how deep can you?
so it depends on the ground, I should
Okay.
say. You know,
Okay. Like the
every
terrain, like if
the
it's
terrain,
sand or
the
if it's
sand, the dirt. Here in Guam, you have that Mariana limestone.
limestone.
So up north, you know, it's real dense to where down south it's more scarce and a lot of backfill, or you know, below sea level and stuff. So you have to initially go out there and do a prove out to test your instrument to find out the depth detection capability. So every site, you know, that's required. You should do that, and
Very interesting.
yeah.
You have an interesting job, right?
It's a lot, you know. I don't. Everybody asks me, you know, how do you retain all this or know all this, you know? And I'd say, man, I was brought up old school way. I should say my grandma raised me, so I'm very like with the Monuncos. I always like to hang out with the Monuncos just because they're full of knowledge and wisdom.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
in our industry, I think I worked with a lot of the Monuncos in our industry in every single branch, and was mentored by them. And so I'm very blessed and pretty much lucky.
So, do you have success stories? Like, do you have something that you're really, really proud of, like a project that you were working on, or, you know, something that seemed impossible, maybe,
Let's see.
that you can share publicly?
For me, I think you know, in the stories or the success stories, it's, you know, coming home, you know, making it home, because in our industry, it is life or death.
Sure.
Right? Anywhere we go in, there's hazards out there, especially dealing with explosives. As a business owner, I think the success story would be, you know, just getting my first job, you know, from start to finish, writing my work plan, adhering to the contract, and actually getting awarded. That to me was like, wow, man, I can do it. And at work, I mean, success stories, every job is good. You know, we complete every job. I've completed or my team and I have completed about 44 federal contracts to date.
No kidding.
Yes.
Good for you.
And and everyone is different. We definitely treat our clients like family. I work with them and get to know them, and they get to know my team and I, and it's just it's the way I do business. Is definitely different from other companies, right?
So, I mean, how, to me, the job that you have is very stressful. It's, there's precision, there's, you've got to know your stuff, you've got to know the types of munitions that you're working with in order for you to come home at night and come home to your family. What do you do to de-stress? What is the thing that you like to do?
Man, so I'm my worst enemy. I'll just tell you that right now. I try to, the way I was brought up and raised, it was always challenging for me. Like I said, my grandma raised me and stuff. So to de-stress, back then, I'm trying to get back into it now. It's of course martial arts. I boxed when I was in high school, and then I took up Muay Thai, which I did since 2000, and then Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I'm purple belt, 4th degree Jiu-Jitsu right now, and I haven't touched that for 7 years maybe. But I got to compete in tournaments in North Carolina, out in Jordan, Amman, Jordan, all over the world, trained with the best UFC, old school UFC fighters, Dan Henderson, Tito Ortiz.
Wow.
And it was stuff I like to do, and diving. I'm definitely a local boy that likes to dive and cook, so.
Good. That sounds.
Yeah, that's distressing for me.
Yeah.
But
fantastic.
Having a business, it's like it never stops. So
That's right.
There's always something that has to be done.
Yes, that's right. So speaking of business, you're a member of the chamber.
I am.
How has your chamber membership benefited your company?
Chamber membership has benefited my company by just bringing me out there, and introducing me to the community. Being that I'm not from here, I came straight from overseas to Guam. So Guam being my first, I would say, U.S. territory duty station after 3 years of being overseas. So I held a lot of things from that, from being overseas, So coming out to the chambers kind of bringing me back out, and being comfortable with the community and just meeting a lot of people, and it's finding myself again. So it's really good. Yeah.
And I think too that it's great that you're able to let people know about the type of business that you have, because again, it's something unusual that we don't normally see or hear. And I just want to thank you so much for your time today.
Yes.
If people wanted to reach out to you, maybe to ask some questions about, maybe interest in a job with you, or would like to reach your company, how would they reach you?
So right now we're working on a new website for the company that's being built, but they can reach us at info at B.N.B.MetGuam.com. And you can just Google the company, and it'll pop up on Google.
Excellent. So when you pop up, when you do that, is it B.N?
So it's B.N.B.
Okay.
No dots.
Okay,
and
good. So
MECGuam.com.
Okay. Got you.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Royden. We've learned so much, and it was such a pleasure to spend time with you.
Thank you, Catherine. It was great to be here. Thank you.
We encourage our residents to support our small businesses like UXO Academy of Bombs and Bullets Guam that make a huge difference in our community. I'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in and listening to today's show. We encourage you to drop us a note to share your comments on this episode, or visit our website or social media platforms. We truly appreciate your feedback. And we look forward to having you back on the Chamber Member Spotlight podcast again very soon. If you haven't already heard it, we also have another podcast called Chamber BizBox. This podcast features issues and challenges that face our business community. They're available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, so give them a listen. This is your host, Catherine Castro. Until next time, take good care and make it a great day, Guam.